Everyone. Good evening, those watching online. Appreciate it. This is the continuation of Charter Amendment Resolution number 2021-3. Currently, what you have in front of you, Council and Mayor, is the red line updated version from Tom, who has been taking our minutes and notes and everything else. And we have left off currently on page 6 of 9. And you can see that we are beginning with subsection B there. All right, so starting off with subsection B, I don't want to go ahead and read that to you, so I'll give you a moment to read that to yourselves. So in short, this is talking about the removal of the town administrator, done so by a resolution and a supermajority vote of our membership. Resolution is delivered to the administrator 15 days, upon which they have a set number of days to respond, and then another set number of days for a hearing that will take place in a closed session, since this is related to personnel matters. The administrator position will receive a full salary until the removal becomes effective, as well as any contractual obligations. Did anyone have any questions, concerns, omissions?
I got some comments.
Go ahead.
First of all, I still stand by not liking things that were previously done at the previous workshops that are in here. So I still have some objections to the overall resolution. That being said, on the off chance that this does indeed pass and it doesn't meet the requirements of a referendum, I just want to make sure it's as clean as can be. I think after the word total membership, you want the word or instead of and. Could be wrong, but the council may adopt a resolution to propose removal of the town administrator by a supermajority vote of its total membership, or may suspend the town administrator with pay. I don't know if that should be and or. Maybe it's okay that way.
I think that's referring to after the vote to remove, and then, although the last sentence does say that the salary is received until the removal becomes effective. By a supermajority vote of its total membership. I guess that's saying that that the council, based on the resolution, could suspend the pay possibly sooner, and I think that's why it may say and.
I guess where I'm, and maybe it's hard to go back and figure it all out, but is there a difference between suspension and removal? Can you suspend somebody, or is the suspension determining that there's eventually going to be a removal? Can you suspend and then bring them back in?
I would say maybe it's more to the fact that, you know, a problem with the town administrator or a town administrator has been identified, and we just want to make sure that they don't do any more damage, but we don't have all the facts yet for it. So maybe we can, unfortunately, hold like maybe two votes or something, one to either remove them or suspend them while we collect more evidence so they don't do any harm or more harm to the town or the finances of the town, while we gather more data and proceed with, you know, removal proceedings.
Okay.
So it's like give them a timeout.
Yeah, basically.
We'll still pay you until the suspension is finalized.
Finalize, yes. And we can decide if we want to pay them or not now or later, or maybe contractual. It can be written in the contract that if they are suspended, it's with or without pay at the determination of the council or something.
So maybe maybe if it stays there in that sentence, the next sentence, the resolution shall set forth the reasons of such suspension
Or,
as opposed to and.
Oh, wait a minute.
And then my final comment on that is that it assumes that we're working under contractual obligations, and David, I brought you in here for a reason. Are you under a contract now? No, so there are no contractual obligations, so we need to figure out if in the future, I mean, how we're gonna, you know, are we going to start hiring town administrators based on a contract, or, you know, how's that gonna be done? Because if we're writing it this way, then maybe something else needs to be adjusted.
I mean, I would think it would be in the town's best interest in future instances for a contract, or release us to look at the benefits of having a town administrator or a contract, them under contract or hired. I think that's what I came across in a lot of the charters of other towns, that the town administrator does work under a contract in some form or another. So,
does anyone work under a contract? Yeah. So, I mean,
yeah, that's standard procedure here, but maybe we just need to potentially look at it. It says any and all, so if there's no contract, there's no contractual obligations. So we could, at the time of hiring, we could decide if we need to offer a contract to them, or they can request a contract, and we could potentially decide at that time if we need to, you know, offer them a contract for some reason.
or we can just put a period after effective.
Well, where you? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's true too.
David, would you say in your experience, more town administrators work under a contract or are hired salary? Okay.
Smaller towns, not so much.
Okay, thanks.
Just as somebody trying to take this down
I got it.
accurately, just a couple questions. First of all, just clerical, I think where it says personal matters, it should say personnel matters, because we're referring here to those instances under the Open Meetings Act when a meeting can be closed, and that's the exception for personnel matters. Secondly, I guess to the mayor's point, is the intention to permit the town council to suspend only pending some final determination on a resolution to remove? Or is the intention to empower the town council to suspend as a punishment, separate and apart from any removal? I'm not sure what the intent here is as it's written. I think that's probably where the mayor was going with that. I have the same question to sort of draft this. The other thing I could be confusing things. I seem to recall that one or more of at least the proposed charter amendments calls for the town administrator to be retained under a contract terms. I think one or more of our other resolutions refer to that. I could be mistaken. There've been a lot of these that floated by, but I would check that to see, because it may well be that the charter amendments you're discussing contemplate a contract going forward with the town administrator.
I think that's actually earlier in this one,
Yeah.
where we talk about the,
Well, while we're looking, Tom, while we're looking for that one, on your first comment on this, on the suspension, could it be taken as both ways, or would we need to separate the two out, one for discipline and then one for, working towards that, or can that be handled without a charter change?
Right. Well, as this is written, I'm not sure.
Okay.
And so at some future date, if this came to be an issue, I'm not sure anybody looking at this would know what the intention is. If I had to lean one way, I would say this reads, you can suspend a town administrator pending either a vote up or down to remove, and if he's not removed or she's not removed, then they come back and they continue to work. If they are, obviously they're gone.
Yeah.
But that's how I suspect this reads, but I don't know if that was the original intention or not.
Can I make a
sure.
suggestion? And I think this is the process now. Ultimately, the town administrator reports to the mayor. And if the mayor wants to remove him, he can make a recommendation to town council, and he can only be removed with council approval. I feel like that's how it should stay.
Yeah, I think technically what the charter currently says, he'd be a managerial employee, and what it says is that a mayor may terminate a managerial employee. There is a right of appeal to the council, and I believe it requires a supermajority to overturn the mayor's decision to terminate a managerial employee. I think that's how the charter currently reads.
I don't know that the council should have the authority to say, we want to remove our administrator.
Well, the only thing I could potentially see is, I agree with you, like 60% on it. I have a problem with the fact that, if we're trying to work towards more collaborative effort of something, and just say a town administrator, the mayor team up for something. I don't know what, but I can't, and we need to remove, and no matter what a town administrator does, they're not gonna be fired, not gonna get rid of. So then it falls on the council almost to protect the town from a potential rogue town administrator, and hopefully with this language and wording in there, the town administrator, there might be a less chance of a team up of a mayor and a town administrator on something, saying that the council has ability to remove them if so choose to, and we got to decide why.
So the other side of that would be town council, whether it's
Yeah.
any of us or future, could say, we don't like the direction that they're going. Let's write a resolution and get rid of them because they're not doing what we want.
Yeah, I know, that's double-edged sword,
It
just,
could go either way.
yeah.
Like, the check and balance is, I don't know, whether it's this administrator or this mayor, meaning the administrator reports the chief executive officer. If the mayor wants to remove him, maybe that's the change. He can only be removed with council approval, not appealed to the council, but removed.
Yeah, that would be, sorry. That would be a fine. I mean, it's just something that's, I don't want a mayor to have carte blanche to get rid of a town administrator, because everybody is depending on that position to
Right.
hopefully run it.
A future mayor could say, I don't like this administrator, you're out. But if we write it in a way that he couldn't do that without council approval, I
Yeah.
think that's the check and balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. And I believe that is the way that it is. I think that if we had a scenario where we hired a bad apple at some point, which we have not, then, I could conceivably see a scenario where basically you have an election where a lot of things are going wrong, and maybe that candidate is out there saying, things got to be fixed when I get into town hall. I don't think that a mayor should walk into town hall and just start throwing people to the side. But once he's in town hall and learns the code and the charter and figures out what's really going on, then it may be that mayor decides to remove the town administrator, at which point the town administrator could say, well, this is BS, I'm being railroaded. He should have that ability to come to the council and say that, and justify his position. And maybe the council, I believe it's written in a 4-1 manner, can say, sorry, Mayor, you're wrong, we're gonna keep him. We did find, I don't know what that was.
Oh. I was like looking for the ghost or something there.
So the reference to a contract was earlier in this charter amendment on page 3, where it shows that the employment of the town administrator and the chief of police shall be governed by a contract that is approved by the town council. Is the chief under a contract? No? Yeah, so I don't know, that could be an issue with this.
Well, I would just like, maybe keep a contract in there for right now, because that would at least set, for the chief and the town administrator, a basic set of, I want to say, review standards or something. More so than willy-nilly at a mayoral or a council saying, well, you're not doing X, Y, and Z, but yet it's written in the contract that you need to do this. That type, more as a protection for both the town and the hiree, because I did come across a couple that did say, contract, like I think Sykesville at least has one for the police chief, maybe the town administrator also, and it indicated that, had a basic set of responsibilities.
Right.
So I'm fine with offering that, but it's like, as long as the potential for the contract to also offer, say, this does not guarantee you carte blanche in staying here forever, too.
Well, my question for you is, what is the intent of this charter amendment? Is it to redesign our form of government? Is it to, are we trying to fix a problem? I know what it is, and I'm happy to say it, but you're setting up a charter amendment that basically defies the way that we're doing business. So if this gets approved, we're immediately out of compliance with our charter. Does that mean we got to re-engage David and the chief and set up a contract for him?
I don't know the answer to that question, unfortunately.
Do we?
Probably.
Probably, yeah. I mean, maybe that was directed to probably, yeah. So, I mean, maybe take out the contract and at least maybe put in the charter maybe then, or something, some basic set of responsibilities that it's not that they don't have a, come in one day, you have one set of responsibilities, you come in the next, you have a totally different set of responsibilities, which I don't think it would be anyone's intention, but it could happen. And then, you know, a person just has something out, whatever, wants them gone for some reason, so they keep changing their set of responsibilities on a daily manner. So I wouldn't want that upon anybody, because then it's kind of hard, almost like you're at the will of someone to be let go, because then it'll be like, oh, well, you didn't follow me that. Well, yesterday I wasn't supposed to, and today you come in and tell me I'm not, and then tomorrow it could get something else.
I feel like we're making this a lot
Little
more
more complicated,
complicated
yeah.
than what it needs to be. Because when we hire, right, you're putting on what you want, a set of standards that you're looking for, and the duties that are assigned to you under this position. And I feel like when you get hired as that position, that you are also in turn agreeing that you understand the duties and the roles of this responsibility for that job.
Okay.
And I feel we could use that not as a signed testimony that when you took this job, but you know, you always put under there other duties as assigned, and all of a sudden we're all doing 30 jobs anyways at the end of the day. So, you know, I don't feel very strong-held as far as this contract deal. If we haven't had one since whenever, and we don't have one now, I don't see town staffers fooling around. We're too busy to be fooling around and worried about a contract, in my opinion. And so going back and maybe omitting that one sentence back on page 3 that Larry was talking about. The employment of the town administrator and the chief of police shall be governed by a contract that is approved by the town council. I mean, I think when we go to hire, the administrator or the mayor or the managers will create a list of roles and responsibilities, and this is what we want the next person to be doing. And if they so feel that they need to add on to those roles and responsibilities, then go ahead and just add on to it, instead of then going, oh, now we have to change the contract to match those roles and responsibilities kind of deal. But,
I got
you know, we can
No,
you
gotcha.
know, we're all, you know, adults
Yeah.
in some term.
Now, that's, once you started explaining that, the mind went back.
Okay.
The job description can at least set the basics.
I mean, if they don't follow what they're doing, we can say, listen, when we hired you, it was your understanding and our understanding that you were going to follow these roles and responsibilities. Here they are. Why aren't you doing so, and so?
Gotcha.
And then, you know, if they feel like they're being terminated or suspended, whatever the current code is. I tried searching for it. My goodness, I couldn't find it. But if they need to come and have a hearing and by vote, by a supermajority, we hear under the Personnel Matter Act that everything's okay or everything's not okay, then let's vote on that.
Okay.
And I think that's what Larry was talking about. And I don't know, does that mean that we are now omitting all of B and going back to what the current code says, Tom?
What do you mean, on page 3, you mean? Or
No, now back to 6.
hold on.
I can't find it in our code.
I don't think it,
What's that,
The,
appeal thing?
yes,
So I don't,
It's in the charter. It's,
meaning, not necessarily that the mayor can let the administrator go, and then the administrator can then appeal to council.
Yeah.
But if the mayor wants to let an administrator go, in order for that to occur, it would have to go to a council vote.
exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at and want.
Not an appeal process, but an actual vote. So maybe that needs to change.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's in here in a couple different spots. And, I mean, we always should, I mean, for a managerial town administrator, managerial position, the mayor can recommend to us for it. We just have to agree with them. That way, I think part of the current problem is the appeal process is that a mayor can let you go, and then you need to appeal it to us, but yet there's some potential technical difficulties in that, and if we reject, and it's got to be, then the person comes back and works for the person that fired them and everything. This way, if we agree, the mayor almost, or someone has to make a case of why they are not doing their job.
I've got that appeal process here in front of me in the current code, if you want to hear it. If you don't, you can look it up later. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, so let me make one thing though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about, we were saying having the mayor responsible for like those director type roles, meaning the mayor would hire or recommend an administrator, and then hire the director type roles. I don't know that all of those director type roles need to go to council for a vote, right? Like maybe just the administrator and the chief of police. I mean, I think as far as hiring or even termination, I mean, does that have to come to council? At
Terminate,
what point does it stop?
hiring, I mean, well, let's just say,
Yeah.
what level, managerial or unclassified, or whatever the correct term is, but managerial or classified, or unclassified employees should come to the council for, at least for maybe hiring and firing, because, I mean, seriously, the code, to see anything beneath what I would classify as a classified employee should not come to council. That's going down into it, because we as council kind of almost says, in trusting, we trust, say, the department heads to run it effectively. We're not challenging them, and currently, I believe the code is saying that every department head should be, or shall be nominated annually by the mayor or somebody. So it's like almost like a reoccurring nomination that we have to, or appointment or something, and I can't think of the right term, that we have to agree upon on a yearly basis. So that's not being done now. Yeah, but, but it's like, hold on, I got the current organizational chart somewhere here, Pam, for you.
But all of our employees now are under monthly, not monthly, but maybe biannually, review, right? You guys meet annually review. So these reviews, hopefully, after 5 months, the manager that is responsible for them should have gone to that employee, made the town administrator aware, made the mayor aware, hey, I'm having some issues with this. I'm going to set up a meeting with them to talk to them about this. By the time the annual review comes up, at least there's documentation, or they should have documented a meeting with them to say, here's what I talked to them about. Here's what I'm still having concerns with. When we met with them on their annual review, they still haven't come up to, I mean, this is probably a year-long process. You're not gonna, you're not doing this. 2 weeks later, you're still not doing this. Okay, go ahead and take a break. I mean, this is something that this town, this staff has done a great job working with its employees. We don't just go out and fire people. We work with them. We try to come up with creative solutions to give everyone a job, to allow them to go in different roles, to hold different responsibilities. We've done this for years, at least for as long as I've been on this council. We've worked with people. We just don't go out and fire people for any negligent reason.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I know we work with people. Maybe we just need to decide at what level do we stop the review? Is it town administrator or department heads? And that's the question. But I mean, I guess what I want to say, when an appeals happens, I mean, I would hope that, as you said, there's documentation, there's a background, there's a folder on the person, why that person's let go. And I'm fine with that. That's the way it needs to be done. But the question is, during the appeal process, can we override, I guess, at what level do we have the ability to override an appeal, a firing decision? Do we want to decide on that, or just let it?
I don't think we should, we just have to be careful about where we set this level.
Okay,
We've we've said it multiple times where we want David to, the town administrator position, but David's now, is that he's running the day-to-day operations with the overseeing of the mayor. I mean, if someone a manager needs to be worked out, David's having those conversations with the mayor, with the manager. If it goes lower, it goes lower. I think we sort of need to be on the higher end. It affects more of a town government type deal. So, you know, in my personal opinion, the town administrator and the chief of police, if that's where we needed to stop at, would be, you know, my suggestion. I don't, going to managers, I mean, you know, who knows how often we would be meeting at whatever point.
No, for firemen or appeal over fire?
I think only, you know, the appeal, if we wanted to, like a judge.
Yeah, no, but I guess, okay, how does the appeal, say, mainline or whatever you want to call it, the mainline employees or the classified employees, say if they let go and they believe when they appeal, does that come to the council currently? Yeah, not for review, if the termination's appealed.
Right.
So that
Now
should
it
be.
is.
But do we want to leave that in there too? Because as you just said, we normally, I mean, we work with them. And I mean, I'm hoping that we can get a case built, not against somebody if they let go.
If David has paperwork
Yeah,
that they are not doing what they need to do, I mean, in my opinion,
Yeah.
I'm going to trust what David has the paperwork on.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't need an appeal from, I mean, this is not going above 3 people and going to the CEO
Yeah.
and saying, I was wrongly fired, I was trying to do my job, can I have it back? No.
yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, I'll agree with you. If
I
there's
mean,
a
we're
case
government,
file-
but come on.
If there's a case against them or file against them of not doing the job, then they would be unwise to appeal their termination. I just want to make, so it's,
I have a
yeah.
comment. So I've listened to all of this. I just want to remind you of something that I floated at a previous workshop. And people may agree or disagree with this. We haven't set on this concrete. But pay attention to the very last sentence of my paragraph. So to me, this is the operating framework. Okay? The mayor serves as the chief executive officer of the town and the immediate supervisor of the town administrator, and shall be consulted as appropriate by the town administrator regarding hiring, firing, and supervision of town employees, period. The town administrator shall serve as the hiring, firing, and supervisory official of town employees, period. The last sentence. To me, this provides umbrella coverage of what we're talking about. The town council shall serve as a quasi-judicial arbiter as appropriate in resolving conflicts concerning these matters. That's an umbrella statement that says things may come up to us, they may not come up to us, conflicts may be risen to our level or not. Certainly with regard to the police chief and the town administrator, that these kinds of things come up to our level. But I guess my point is, if you were trying to talk to somebody and say, what's our framework for hiring, firing, and supervision? You need to be able to say that in a couple sentences. So I was proposing that this paragraph, and I can hand this out again, and just keep it if you don't want to decide now. This is the kind of statement that goes at the very beginning of this whole charter section, because it says, here's how we operate, and everything from that talks about, okay, here's the town administrator role, here's the mayor role, here's this role, and it lays out all the specifics. But you have to be able to say, this is what our system is, and that was the attempt. So.
Some of that, what you just said, I'll take a copy.
I'm going to pass it out again.
Some of it's worth taking into
Don't lose
advisement.
it. I handed it out last meeting.
Steve, Councilman DeVito, there's some of it's good, and I can agree with some of the wording of it, and some of what you just said is, I put back into my change is coming later, but, I mean, if we do the blanket statement, we can clean up the wording in it later to address for that.
And I
too.
understand there's not full consensus on who hires and fires and
Yeah.
at what level. We've already talked through that. We really haven't closed on it.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. But
Yeah.
at some point, we're going to have to make some decisions
Yeah.
on this.
So where were we in the contract where we took that out, right? Is that where we stopped at all that? Sorry, Jason.
Yeah, no, you're
Okay.
fine. You're fine. I'm kind of, what are we trying to decide on this paragraph kind of deal?
Yeah.
I'd say strike the paragraph. That's what I would feel comfortable with. And then on page 3, it very specifically talks about how we hire the administrator as well as the chief of police. The only thing that's not addressed on page 3 is that in order to remove one of the 2 positions, it would require council approval.
Yeah.
I
Supermajority.
think B, yeah, 2B addresses that. All employees that are nominated by the mayor in the above, we can clean up the language. Maybe recommended for termination by the mayor at any time for just cause to the town council. That termination shall only become effective if the council so chooses to agree with the recommendation of the mayor by the votes of a supermajority of the council. So that's in there. It just might need to be cleaned up and
I mean, that sounds pretty clean compared to,
the other one, yeah.
yeah, the other one. But I think I think that one's trying to identify days and deadlines and how long people have to do something. I think that what's in B could be, here is a suspension notice, here are all your dates and deadlines. Sign this saying that you've received it and follow what this piece of paper says.
Or actually, to follow up on that, again, this is kind of how my mind works, the charter should be very high level. This is more of a procedure.
Yeah.
So like if the town wants to have this language and some other language about how different positions are removed or appealed, that goes in a procedure, but that doesn't go, the nit-nats of all that don't go in a high-level charter.
I'm good. No, I said when we started, this is put all the thoughts down and what comes out, what stays, and we'll argue the rest.
Sounds good.
So B's gone, right?
We'll have a discussion about the rest.
Yeah, B's gone. We just need to clean up the stuff on page 3, I take it,
Yep, I would
Okay.
agree.
or condense or clean it up.
Okay.
But definitely need to readdress that page 3 because there's numerous issues in there that I think we left unclean. For example, officers serving at the pleasure of the town administrator as opposed to the chief. I don't think the town administrator can fire a police officer. So there's a lot of cleanup on page 3.
All right,
Where are you talking about? What number, Larry?
on page 3.
Okay.
I'm on 3. I see a whole bunch of scratch outs.
Oh, I'm sorry, page 4,
Oh,
apologies. Down where it says, it's about 2/3 of the way down where it talks about those positions that are managerial in nature shall include, but not be limited to the town administrator, council secretary, zoning administrator, town planner, town engineer, and the chief
oh,
of
I
police.
see where it says that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it says all officers, it doesn't say police officers, but it insinuates police officers. All officers and employees so appointed shall serve at the discretion of the town administrator. The town administrator shall make the nominations, as opposed to the mayor, or in this case, the chief of police renomination annually or on before the first Monday of June, which is where Carl was going, and I think appropriately so. And Jason, I think, I'm sorry, Council President, you were suggesting that maybe it was the annual reviews as opposed to annual appointments, but in this, it kind of reads that the additional, let's see, annual renomination annually on or before the first Monday in June. I mean, that doesn't sound like an evaluation to me. That sounds like a renomination, and I
Yeah,
don't,
can we put a, Larry, do you mind if we just put a star on that paragraph?
yeah, that's
I
fine.
have no problem revisiting
Yeah, no.
that as well.
And I said, probably most of the language in this was taken from existing code or charter language, so
And just
if we need to.
shove together maybe,
Yeah.
but
Probably,
it's, I'm gonna, Larry, I marked it with a star. We'll come back and revisit that.
Okay,
And I'll make sure this does not get passed without just a revisit or a talk about this one, so that everyone can voice their opinion on that. Fair enough? Okay.
so there will be a public hearing on this. Is that what you're saying?
I was saying we as a workshop body will revisit this paragraph.
Okay.
Okay.
So, page 6, number C, or
Letter?
letter C.
I have a couple thoughts on this to kind of maybe frame this at a high level. So this is part of why, in my thought process, why I brought, I think it was 2022-2, why I reintroduced this, which was 2022-2 was switching back to what I thought was the appropriate role of having the town administrator serve as the CFO. And I tried to articulate that I felt the need to bring that back immediately because I knew we were working next on the hiring and firing. And I knew that within this document that we're working on now, much of the town administrator roles and responsibilities are described here. So my point is, on section C in the document we're currently working on, this still captures the old language about having the town administrator serve as the CFO, right? That's what this is doing. So I don't know that we can address this yet. I think we need to put brackets around this as well, Council President, and say we're going to revisit this because until we have a workshop on 2022-2, which is what I had proposed, switching the CFO back to the town administrator, should that approach get voted on favorably, okay? I'm not trying to muck things up, but I'm trying to put a charter together that hangs together the proper way. Should 2022-2, after it's workshopped, get approved, that document lays out soup to nuts all the duties of the town administrator as the CFO. I could suggest a document, because if you look at other towns, this is the way the other towns do it. They say, here's the role of the town administrator. Here's all the CFO stuff they do. Next section, here's all the hiring and firing stuff they do. The point is, everything about the town administrator can be found in one place. So all I'm trying to say is, again, to kind of wrap this up, I think section C in the resolution we're working on now, this all has language about keeping the town administrator as the CFO. Some of this language is actually outdated because we have, I think, better language in our other documents. And until we workshop 2022-2, we're not going to know if the administrator is indeed going to be the CFO or is not going to be the CFO.
I would just say keep, because there's no, sorry.
So that's, I mean, let me just ask, do you, anybody else have a comment on that? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
I make one comment. So we're looking at CEO, CFO, but I'm going to totally throw a wrench in it for you guys. So the CFO analyzes, reviews financial data, report financial performance, prepare budgets, monitor expenditures and costs. So I'm thinking back and looking at the daily operation typically is a COO, Chief Operating Officer, which if you read the definition of a COO, that's exactly what our town administrator does. So not to muck the waters up with all these different amendment changes, but I know a lot of people are stuck on the whole title. You're taking away the CFO from mayor, et cetera. Really what the town administrator is doing is really is the chief operating officer who's in charge of the daily operations of a corporation. So I'm not saying who should be doing what, because that's a whole nother workshop with that charter amendment change, but I just want you guys to think about the titling of it. So if we're gonna say, and just to go that, the one that you have, the mayor is the one that has to present, just to touch on a little bit of yours, he has to present the budget to this body, the legislative body. So the executive branch is coming to us. He really needs to be doing some of that CFO work. He needs to be in the budget. You know what I'm saying? It normally doesn't just get sent to a CEO and they go, here you go present it to all your board of directors. They're involved in the process. So not to muck the waters, but I would like to make a suggestion as we think from going forward, CEO, CFO is really jobs mayor will be doing. COO is really what our town administrator is doing, although we're doing some of the jobs to put into that town administrator. So we've got those checks and balances. So that's just something I want you guys to think about.
Okay. Did you want to, I heard
A
you
little
take a breath.
confused, but
I mean, for the purpose of this workshop, obviously, because we haven't workshopped the other resolution, can't you just strike out financial officer? The other thing I wanted to mention, it says, town or chief administrator of the town responsible to the council. I think that should be mayor.
yes, yep.
Yeah, that was going to be some of my proposed changes to that too. Because I came across researching this, because this gets into a lot of specifics, which is I wanted general as Councilman Demota said, it needs to be the starting document, not the soup and nuts shouldn't be in the charter as much as it should be. It could be, but I came across wording in Frostburg's charter that kind of maybe potentially could be put in the first paragraph here. That kind of, take out the financial officer of the town, because as of now, that's been decided on in 2021-2. You still have to workshop that one for yours. Maybe the town administrator cannot, maybe not to title the chief administrative officer, but let me read you something I got from Frostburg that I think could go here pretty good. The town administrator shall work under the general direction of the mayor and be responsible for the day-to-day operations of the town. The town administrator shall exercise general supervision over town employees, the heads of all departments, agencies, and offices of the town, and shall report directly to the mayor. Yeah, it's all encompassing. Then maybe if we want to leave some of the other requirements here, leave it. But then it can potentially bring in some of the, with not mucking up the financial aspect or financial officer position. But, I would presume that, town administrator, if they're checking over the books to make sure the checks are balanced and stuff, it brings in some of the duties that we would expect of a town administrator to do as normal town administrative things without messing with titles. So if we can put that in some form or another, maybe clean it up for us, it captures pretty much a lot of what we're trying to do here. And then maybe look at the actual individual 1 through 12 under C, clean it up and see if they should be the duties of the town administrator or not. And some of it could be taken out of this by just putting in this wording.
So my quick comment would be, is it something that this council wants to have, all of these sub numbers under this in our charter? Or is this, once again, I think I was trying to say it, Stephen said it a little bit more eloquently, is that these are things that we put on our job description and say, you know, when we're out hiring, we want you to attend all council meetings and you need to participate in discussion or give your reports. Make sure that all laws are being followed, so on and so
Yeah.
forth.
I kind of found it both ways.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, it maybe just, I don't know, I'm just looking at some of this too, like someone, as, you know, not saying someone would do this, but challenge the authority of the town administrator, not saying the mayor, but somebody in the population would challenge the authority of what the town administrator could do. At least then it's in charter of like, you know, they must follow all the rules or must attend the council meetings and offer advice and things of that nature. It's all, it's a shall include but not limited to. I just want to make sure that we as a town have some basic requirements for, and, you know, what we anticipate of the town administrator.
So can I add to what the council president just mentioned? So when we look at this 1 through 12,
Yeah.
I'm going to call on the town administrator really quick, even though I always promise I won't do that. So don't we, I know you're coming up with a manual for the job because there was none. Wouldn't these be the standard things in your standard operating procedures for the town administrator?
Yes, and I don't know if you have the current job description.
Right. Right, so to add to what Jason said, do we need to have all these 12 in here, or can it be part of the standard operating procedure job description for the town administrator, even if we had to make it a council policy? Like we've come up with some council policies, right?
I have some comments. Are you done?
Oh, yeah, go. Yeah.
So I have a problem here because I see I think you're trying to smooth some waters here, and that's always good, but all of these elements, these are already captured in the resolution that's already, in the charter change that's already in effect. It has a lot of these in it. It just says the mayor does all these things, pretty much. So I don't like the idea of just stripping all this out because as Councilmember Munder, you alluded to, many of the charters of other towns have these exact words in them. So I'm not in favor of streamlining these subcomponents. My only point is, and I'm not in favor of being afraid to call the town administrator the CFO. The town administrator should be the CFO, and it should say he or she is the CFO. All I'm saying is, maybe we really can't address Section C until we workshop 2022-2 and see where all that goes. I think that's all we can do at this point.
My, once you said that the first time, my intention would probably be to postpone this until we figured out 2022-2. Whereas if 2022 passes, then we can go back and correct this without having to do another, the entire process while we're in it. That was my overall intention. So I was just going to actually just skip C and move through the rest of this. Nothing else is, as far as what I would consider deals with CFO and everything else. We only have 2 more pages. If we could get through this, postpone this until we do the workshop with 2022-2 and go through that, and then we could do both of those together.
And Council President, that's exactly,
Okay.
that's what I was saying. Put a pin in this, and that's why, and I had talked to you informally, and I tried to bring it up at the council meeting. That's why I was pushing to have the workshop on 2022-2, not wait to the end of all these charter changes, but we really need to look at that next, because that, as you said, impacts what we're trying to do in this one. So that, I'm in alignment with that.
I thought you, go ahead.
We don't need to have a lot of discussion about this, but it's just information for me, because it is something that the mayor brought up in our last meeting. Salaried employees, how many salaried positions? 5. And what are those titles?
Town administrator, chief of police, engineering,
Public Works.
public works, planning and zoning.
Okay. And that will come into play when we talk about page 3 and even this next section.
Yeah.
All right, so town administrator, chief of police, engineering, public works, and planning. Okay, thank you.
Sir, Council President, it sounded like that we're going to do a little bit more to your statement there, because, I mean, I'm kind of not in favor of holding this whole amendment or charter amendment up till because we got several more to go through to workshop this. I mean, if we just put the language, let's just maybe start looking at C and see if we need to really do it at the bottom, and see if we can take out some of these and leave in, or maybe the blanket statement that should be added to C from Frostburg's charter can take care of this, and we can move forward with this amendment too. And then by doing that, it might be able to decouple, which seems to be the intent right now, is to link these two together.
So I totally understand what you're saying. And looking at the entire body, I have someone that's sitting way over there that completely disagrees with some of the language. And then I probably have a minor or maybe a majority of council members that oppose what the mayor is also feeling. And so I have a feeling that we won't get much accomplished. The discussions will keep on going, and
Okay.
those discussions will end up always reverting back to who is the CFO, who is the CEO. And until the body figures out those two positions, the discussion for this particular section could last, and we won't finish this one. And then I honestly feel this body could get through 4 and 5 with very little discussion. I think the majority of us feel, I've already heard from the mayor, Larry, if I misspoke or misspeak, everyone feels pretty good about 4 and 5, the way that it's written. We may need just change a couple words here and there, but I feel like we could do 4 and 5 together and get that out. So the faster, I'm not trying to rush us, but the faster we get that, we could be seeing this and the next one in a month or 2.
Okay.
Like, that to me is not very long.
Okay.
Where by the end of the year, all of our charters are cleaned up.
We got number 6 too, which is don't we, Tom?
Incapacitation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is incapacitation, yeah, and we might have one more. I'm working on another one for you, sir.
Thanks.
Take a
Oh,
break.
it was a public suggestion. It was public, and it actually makes sense.
Is it on the council?
Yeah, it actually is on the council's
Just wondering why we
ability.
haven't seen one of those.
So it is on the council, so I just got to fine tune the wording on it.
What's 6?
Is
We have
incapacitation.
removal of office, incapacitation. We have the code of conduct, which is 4, which might be kind of Lynn's forte too with the ethics. We have 5, which is, that's 4.
And whistleblower.
And whistleblower is 5, and then 6 is removal of office,
For,
both mayor and for incapacitation.
in the end, it would still follow the same process, no matter who is indicated or labeled as CFO or CEO.
For which ones?
It wouldn't matter, right? You're talking about
Yeah.
that wouldn't matter on the
Okay.
4.
It shouldn't matter.
Don't.
I don't think it would matter on 4 or 5. and
Okay,
6.
so that's why
Okay, all
I
right.
was sort of making the general statement of, let's get through 4 and 5, finish, have the protection of the employees,
Yeah.
and then,
No, I
Come
got
back.
you. No, I
Okay.
got you. I just thought maybe removing the titles out of
I
here might be
understand.
working, might have helped.
The discussion is going to be
Okay, cool.
saved, and I do appreciate your comment. So, Mayor, I did put a star next to Chapter 7-1, which is looking at some of those who serves at the discretion of.
Yeah.
And then, based on Councilmember Demoter's comment, I would like to just put a pause on that until the body figures out 22-2. Is that clear? Okay?
Yeah, I would like to make a comment before, are you heading toward closing this?
No.
Or are we going to keep going?
No.
I would like to make a comment in regard to what Councilman Demoter had mentioned, if that's okay.
Yep, and then we're going to pick up at D.
Yeah, it's more editorial in nature. And I promise not to go over 2 minutes on it, so.
You're fine.
So 2021-2 that we workshopped and was passed, okay, solved a heck of a lot of problems that existed from prior administrations. Namely, it made the mayor, regardless of who it is, coordinate everything through the town administrator. The mayor kept the title of chief financial officer, but it mandated for the mayor to work through the town administrator, which eliminated the possibility of me spending money or any other mayor spending money behind the back of the town administrator. Second thing it did was fix the water bill issue, which we don't have to go into great detail. The third issue that we really are trying to fix right now is the inability of town employees to effectively report grievances or ethical issues without fear of retribution from the hiring authorities, be it me or be it the town administrator. Regardless of how this goes, we need a way for, and it comes back to the whistleblower program, for those employees to actually report those grievances and potential ethical issues without fear of retribution. The other thing that needs to happen down the road, and it should come through the whistleblower amendment, is that there needs to be a way for the council president, be it me a year ago, be it you, Council President Poirier, for us to know what to do with that information once we get it. Because I think there were times where I was not effective as a council president because I was receiving information and not knowing what to do with it. It would have been nice, so hopefully we'll fix that. In regard to referencing other cities such as Frostburg, and in the past we've referenced Rockville, Bowie, Hagerstown, I think that it's only fair rather than representing this number of towns that have sizable populations that are far greater than Mount Airy. I mean, why are we not looking at Sykesville, Hampstead, New Windsor that have much closer populations and looking at their codes and charters and the ways that they do business, where the mayor runs all the council meetings and sets the agenda. But for some reason, we keep looking at these Montgomery County cities and these much larger populations, and I just feel that we are going a direction that I don't think our residents want us to go. So, and that's my editorial comment.
May I offer a quick comment?
Sure.
Points received. It's not about the size of a town or the population or what model is best or worse. I mean, certainly lots of models work lots of places. Again, my approach has been, this process got opened up. Once it got opened up, I'm looking at how should the town of Mount Airy be structured in the future based on lessons learned to provide the citizens with the best government that we can. And all of my research says that the model of using a town administrator where the town administrator is the hiring and firing and supervisory official and is the CFO is a very popular and successful model that I think would benefit the town. It's not a population issue. It's based on lessons learned from the past and what might be best for the future. That's simply it. The last point, and it gets to the employee concerns point, I totally agree with that. And my question is going to be, where are we going to address some of that? Because the remaining charter resolutions, there's a whistleblower protection and there's some other ones. But if you look at the wording, it deals mostly with ethics conflicts. It doesn't deal with other types of employee concerns. And so that's why, and I'm going to hand this out again. I sent this around many months ago, and actually, I don't know if Councilmember Galletti remembers, but you sent me a positive email on this saying, thank you for putting this together. I'm not sure where this belongs, whether it belongs in the document we're working on now, or if it goes in one of the resolutions to come. But this is my proposal for what I call an employee concerns program, where employees, if they have any kind of concerns about policies, practices, behaviors, where an employee feels like something's being done in town government in an unsafe way, an unethical way, they're being harassed, they're being threatened, employees have a place to go. And it can't just be going to their supervisor because, I mean, that is the first line that employees should go. But if that doesn't get resolved at the supervisory level, or if the supervisor harasses the employee and says, that's not a problem, just be quiet and go away, that employee needs a place to go to have their concerns heard, and they need a place where they can be protected. So this is a proposal for that type of a program, and I'm not sure where it goes. It may go in a resolution we're going to work on in the future, but I would like this considered as we move forward. That's it.
Thank you. So probably not too long ago, we freed up some of Holly's roles as serving 7 different jobs. And we sort of had a human resources person, but not really at the same time, and no fault to Holly, she's doing 17 different things. We now have that person, and part of the whistleblower protection was to protect employees that they saw managers, mayor position, town administrator position, where they could see repercussions based on if they told. Once again, we didn't really have a human resources, and they weren't protected because the mayor had the hiring and firing and, those types of things. So we have a human resources department that's solely served by one person. That's their job. The whistleblower protection sort of protects them from any firings or repercussions that they might be maybe exposed to or whatever. I sort of lost my train of thought on that one, but so that's where that is, and I see your language here, so I think we can find a good space for that. But less than a year ago, we didn't have those things. Yeah. So I think we're on the right track. We can also do a better job as well.
Yeah, so that's and again, just, I don't want to see this lost in the sauce, so that this probably fits into the resolutions that are coming up, but I think this is a little broader than just protecting against ethical conflicts of interest and such.
Good.
I'll just have one comment for the mayor on Frostburg. I think they might take offense, you labeling them a large city, because you've driven in my mind to one of the things I look at when I do find good language in another charter is to look at the population. And some large cities have it, some don't. And then when I look at something, I also look at the form of government or council mayoral relationship they have. So I'm not knocking, but it's like Frostburg has about 7,500 people. So if Frostburg complains, I'll direct any comments to you for calling them a big city.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, moving on. All right, let's go to D.
Real quick, I think D should be held off too, because we still haven't defined where the hiring and termination begins and ends at the mayor and town administrator.
I didn't even read D, but okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with Councilwoman Reed's request on that one. E, I would say should be taken out because I think we've decided not to do contracts,
Okay.
correct? Is that what I,
That would be my personal preference, but
oh, no, I'm just saying,
I'm only one person.
F, I'll just, not to say, F should stay, and maybe we can tweak it. It's just requiring that if the position, it sets a deadline is, if the town administrator position becomes vacant for whatever reason, it gives the mayor the authority to start a search within 60 days of it becoming vacant and sets, 6 months, up to 6 months for that position to be filled. So we're not leaving that position vacant. It's basically so the mayor can't fire a town administrator, then appoint them as acting town administrator, appoint themselves as an acting town administrator. I think that should be okay. I'm not saying it should be, but I think it makes sense.
I like E.
Was that
I like E.
E or F, you mean?
Oh, it's F.
F, yeah, it's like, yeah, I thought we crossed E out. I'm like, wait a minute.
And you crossed it off.
I was like, oh, that's gotta go.
Yeah.
She likes F.
F, okay.
That's good. I mean, it kind of holds everyone accountable to fill the position. It also states how the position will be temporarily filled until a permanent position is filled.
Yeah. Yeah, so that, I mean, well, since we decided, see, this is how everything plays on one another. That's why I kind of said we should go through the previous one, because F relies on something that the town administrator was supposed to do in number 12 that we all quickly decided to postpone because it requires, I believe, the town administrator, if they so choose to or needs to, file a letter with, say, the town council or the town or the mayor that a qualified employee should be who they believe should be a temporary replacement for them or deemed an acting town administrator.
And that's fine. I don't think 12
Change that one.
will be touched. I think there might be some other duties above that.
Okay.
12 is a good section, and before we pass this, we can just change whatever number
Okay.
that becomes. So I'll put a star next to that if the numbers
Change. Okay, thank you, Ken. Yeah, I just,
Sure. I think that's a good point, but
yeah.
hopefully you understand my reasoning.
No, I understand it.
All right, G.
Town administrators shall be responsible for the administration of town affairs to the council and mayor. I think
Is this daily town affairs?
we can, it's just daily town affairs, yeah.
Okay.
Or just, that just says that they, we can hold them responsible if they don't.
Just want to back it up. There's a couple of typos in F, and I can get them to Tom. They don't change it.
Okay.
It's just,
My only recommendation for G would be affairs to the mayor. The town administrator is responsible to the
Okay.
mayor.
Well, the only thing I can think of is not saying that, but it's like we get a town administrator report at every council meeting. So that could be his report to the council for the affairs. So I would just like to know what's going on as a council member in the town affairs. So it's like, I'm not saying he needs to hold meetings with us every time, just whatever basic, just so we know.
This broad statement doesn't say that the town administrator has to give us an update.
Yeah,
Okay,
I would agree.
so just affairs to the mayor then?
Yes, please.
Okay. I think employee benefits just says that no elected official shall participate in any program except for retirement. I mean, it allows us to form a retirement or a health, and a benefit program for the employees, but we can't participate in it except for retirement, which I believe is something the state gives us the choice for. Okay. Because it concerned me when I think Frederick County or somewhere, Carroll County or somebody is allowed for their elected officials to participate in their programs.
So this section for the appeal of the dismissal, this was sort of what I was alluding to, like, here's the piece of paper for your dismissal and the procedures.
No, I mean, if we think it can be done in a procedure, as long as those procedures stay, don't change from administration to administration, that's my only concern with it, and that's why I put the timeframes. And the timeframes can change, but I just want to make sure that throughout now that, new mayor, new town administrator can't come in and just say, oh, now it's only one day. I decided it's just going to be one day. At least this gives some,
Okay.
formality to the number of days. We can change the days if we think it's too short or too long, but it at least gives, a set criteria for the policy to be of the town
All right, let's take a moment.
for that.
I would say in A, again, we haven't defined
Managerial employee.
where the responsibility ends, so I'm highlighting like that first line.
Oh, like
Which is
who
to appeal the decision
has
of the dismissal by
authority?
the,
Okay,
okay. So really that where it says currently the town administrator
might change.
might change.
Okay.
We're on C7-6.
A,
For starters, we never talk about dismissal, we talk about termination. So my question is, should that be appeal of termination as opposed to appeal of dismissal?
yeah, that's fine, yeah.
And on A, in the spirit of our town administrator's wording on employees, I think it should actually read, in the event of a salaried employee, manager, or other full-time employee wishes to appeal the decision of the termination by the, and I have mayor in here, but maybe different, town administrator over there. That person shall, within 3 days of notice of termination, file a written appeal for a hearing with the town council, who at such time will convene a hearing of the council and the town attorney. The hearing shall be within 4 weeks of notification. That's the way I wrote it.
Oh, let me get you.
In the event a salaried employee, manager, or other full-time employee wishes to appeal the decision of the termination by the, as you guys have written it, town administrator, that person shall, within 3 days of notice of termination, file a written appeal for a hearing with the town council, comma, who at such time shall convene a hearing of the council and the town attorney, period. The hearing shall be within 4 weeks of the notification.
Council President,
Yeah.
just a question. Instead of elected officials, should that not be like the town clerk? Because I'd have to send an email to every one of you telling you I want to have a hearing. Is it better?
Would be up to.
I'm just wondering.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We in A, John?
Yeah, we're in A, again, written appeal for a hearing with the town clerk. Instead of elected officials. So again, if say I get terminated and I gotta write an email or letter to all of you.
Oh, okay,
I no
okay.
longer have email access, so I have to go, what's their email?
I got you.
I just think it should be the town clerk who runs as the liaison for Jason.
does make sense.
Just,
It says
just
town
the,
clerk.
I don't mean to chime in.
No, it makes sense. Then the town clerk would put the request to all of us.
Facilitate it.
Yes. And that way it keeps us all out of the fray. We just told person X has requested a hearing or appeal hearing and go from there. Good catch, sir.
John?
Thank you.
So file a written appeal for a hearing with the town clerk.
Well, who has such, okay, then maybe,
Of all,
Well, the mayor switched that to the town council and the town attorney.
yeah, who had such, okay, so the town clerk then,
The first one would be town clerk.
Yeah,
The second one would be the council and the town attorney.
but, okay, just so I'm understanding it right. So the town clerk then, who at such time shall convene a hearing or shall
Yes.
schedule a hearing?
with the town, with the council and the town attorney.
So who at such a time shall schedule a hearing? Okay. I know we listen to staff, but I don't think Holly wants to start convening hearings for us.
Well, I think it would be us to schedule the hearings, but she would notify us.
Yeah,
Right, this would be, hey, look at your calendars.
yeah.
Let's try to get 5 of us, 6 of us, 7 of us
Yeah.
on board. All right, so once again, other than that first position, I like the language and the suggestions there. Good job. I'm going to circle this one, and once again, we're going to put a hold on this one, but I just want to, once the body makes the decision, we can just change or keep all of the language. All right, so does B become affected also? The appeal hearing shall be held in the presence of the employee seeking the hearing and the town administrator, both of which shall have the right to summon such witnesses and produce such relevant evidence as may be desired, and shall have the right to be represented by counsel.
We could either put
So
opinions.
essentially, it would be the town administrator, not against, but they're both presenting their cases as to who, which puts us in a quasi judicial position. Okay. C, the hearing shall be closed to the public unless the employee elects otherwise. I don't know, I think it should be closed due to personnel matters. Does it give the employee the right to open the meeting if they so choose?
You could, I mean, if the employee so chooses. Now, I don't know who would do that as a practical matter, but
Could we just say that it will be closed? Or do we have to give them the option?
yeah, you don't have to do anything.
Okay,
All right,
I think it should be closed to be,
should we put in reference to what, to Open Meetings Act? I mean, no, it's like, close in accordance,
personnel matters.
accordance to, yeah, okay. No, but
The elected officials of the town. So should this be the town council?
you mean the town council shall
Shall
change?
change the decision of the, I don't know, Larry, how do you feel about, the town administrator would be essentially representing, I'm assuming, this is no language, this is keeping you as CEO. Does the town administrator is representing you in this hearing also, correct? Like you both have talked, agreed that this employee shall be terminated. In letter D, it says the town council shall change the decision of the town administrator. Do you want and mayor or just town administrator there?
I'll start by saying I'm still in fundamental disagreement with the entire resolution. But having said that, if you're asking what should be here, I think that, yeah, the mayor needs to be involved as opposed to the town administrator. And further up, under B, I added a sentence. In my case, I put the mayor, but the town administrator, I added a sentence that says the town administrator shall not attend the hearing, but may provide documentation and relevant evidence to the council prior to the hearing, which allows the town administrator to come in and let you know why he or she did what they did in terms of a termination. But you can't have an intimidating person sitting in the front row while you're going through the hearing. To your point, no, I'm not comfortable with the town administrator being the sole person there, if I understand what you're asking.
Okay. I guess what I'm asking is, never mind.
Okay, let's go back to B. I kind of understand. I would like the town administrator there or present, or say, not say the prosecutor, but that's the best term I can think of right now, the prosecutor
Sure.
of the case. Because they would have built the case, they would have collected the evidence and all that. But if, I can understand what you're saying too, like they could be intimidated by the town administrator. But I don't want to put like frontline staff, say the HR person there doing it, but can they come and present? Or would that be, I mean, I would like, because the mayor, no disrespect to the position of mayor, I just don't think, I think the town administrator, because I'm viewing it as the town administrator, as I referenced back to the Frostburg thing, it's the day-to-day operations thing of it, and they should be able to prosecute or defend the town's decision of getting rid of them. The mayor can chime in, the mayor's welcome to sit there during the proceedings and can, not be excluded from the discussions of this. I want the mayor included in on it too, and go from there, but I believe it should be a joint decision to get rid of them and move from there. But if there's appeal, it should be the town administrator, if they're available to do the
What we
prosecution.
don't know is, we don't know who the problem is.
Yeah,
It could be the town administrator, it could be the mayor. It could be somebody on the council.
no, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, like unless,
What we do know is that the mayor is elected, and every 4 years you can throw him out.
Yeah.
But we don't even have a contract on our town administrator. So what do we do with him?
yeah, no, I know what you mean. I'm trying to think of like if they're, I mean, this is intent, this was written as the intent for maybe not for the town administrator's position more
Well, the
so, but
paragraph
for
above it says that
the
it's
inventive.
not.
No, it's not.
It's
Okay.
salaried employees, town officers,
Okay.
and managerial employees. This has nothing to do with the town administrator or his dismissal.
Okay, all right, I'm good. So it's like, yeah, so then who, I mean, if we're entrusting the daily operations.
I guess what I was asking, Mayor, is when, I do disagree with you. I think the town administrator, in a quasi judicial hearing, the town administrator needs to present its evidence. The employee, in his or her defense, needs to present evidence that either diminishes what they are presenting or says, hey, I actually did this. What the town administrator is presenting is not true, and we as a body will say. Now, I think it was based on our clarification that how many hearings are we going to hear? Do we need to hear it for salaried employees, town officers, or managerial employees? I think that's where we need, we sort of need to go back up there and say, no, it's only for salaried employees, and we'll take the 5 that Councilwoman Reed and David highlighted and wrote down, that those are the only employees that will have an appeal for dismissal. Everybody else, you guys can do your thing. Go to court, do whatever, not this court. go somewhere else to do that. So I guess I was asking, of those salaried employees or whoever we state, do you also want to be standing next to David to present evidence? That's what my clarification was to be. And that I'm going to let David speak on behalf of us, or are you going to be standing up there also presenting the evidence? I guess who's going to speak for the town? Is it both of you? Do you want both of your names? I don't care. I just wanted to clarify.
Well, if you indeed pass this in a manner where I am no longer involved in the hiring and firing process, then yeah, David gets to stand up there and throw out the flames, and I'll just sit there and watch him.
Okay. All right, so I also put a little star circle. We can go back and figure that. Did we?
When you're done, I didn't go back to see when you finish with
Okay.
that issue on C.
I also want to make sure that you said something and I was a little concerned that maybe something had gone past it. So David is a salaried employee.
Correct.
You got that? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good enough. Thanks.
Yep.
No offense, can we just try and not use the town administrator's name? I know he doesn't mind, but it feels like we're giving everything to him. I know people have spoken out against it. It's the town administrator. I know we do it. We all love David. Just try and tamp down the powder keg a little bit. But I do have a question for Tom, if I'm interrupting, Jason, just
You're
tell me.
not interrupting. I just want to remember the order of who needs to speak.
Oh,
next.
sorry, I'm sorry. I butted in, I'm sorry.
Do your question.
Would the
and then I'll go
town,
to David.
would there be any conflict if the town attorney presented the evidence at the hearing? I mean, I know you represent the town, but in that case, it would be us, right? Okay.
Not as between the town and the employee in question. However, the problem comes in that the body itself often needs representation.
Okay.
And you can't have the prosecutor giving the judge legal advice. So you're inviting a circumstance where you are separating. You're going to need
Okay.
two attorneys in many instances. These are going to be very contentious, probably. Yeah, so I'm not sure that's the way, and I'm not sure that you're contemplating a very formal proceeding per se, although I will say this, somebody should be here to be put under oath and testify on behalf of the town, because even in sort of administrative agency proceedings, one thing a person in the position the employee has a right to is to cross-examine witnesses against him or her, and a requirement that those witnesses against him or her are placed under oath and testify. So there's got to be some formality, but I'm not sure we need a prosecutor per se.
No, I just pulled that term out just to better do the define, but okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure if someone brought it up, there would, but it sounds like there's a potential concern or problem with you presenting the town's evidence, particularly
I mean, I
if
could,
we,
But then you all probably would have to get separate counsel
Yeah,
to
nah.
advise you all
yeah,
if needed.
no, that's what I was
We
trying to
already
get at.
pay him. Let's
Yeah,
just-
exactly. No, I'm good, just in case someone brought it
Oh, I know
up.
that. I know. David, go to C.
Let's see, if you keep it at the 5 unclassifieds that are coming here for dismissal.
That was A.
Right.
She was,
So if it's the only those 5 are coming, I'm okay with C,
oh, B,
not being open to the public.
Okay.
In my past experience, when we're hiring a trash collector, the ability to, and I'm not trying to belittle, but the ability to articulate, and we can't hire counsel if you're a refuse collector, you're not gonna have the wherewithal to hire counsel. So for them to come in and articulate their position, even here, some folks that have come up and seen me, and I don't think I'm intimidating, there's a nervousness in talking to someone that they think is higher up. So I think if you keep it at the 5, that's fine to keep it closed. I think it should be open because I've been at hearings where someone brought their dad in to try to articulate their position where they didn't have to hire counsel. So I think when you start to dismiss someone who's cutting grass, the onus to put on them that they can only come in counsel, which allows them to open it to the public to allow dad or their brother or somebody who can articulate their position better. It gives them a little flexibility. Otherwise, it's hire a lawyer, or you've got somebody here that collect refuse for 10 years that's going to try to argue against the mayor, the town administrator. It becomes overwhelming for them. So I think once you start to go down to the lower levels, you need to give them a little bit of an ability to, and yes, it's open to the public, no one usually comes in, but it allows them to bring in
Counsel.
friend, dad or brother or somebody who comes to try to more eloquently present their position.
Sure,
It's a fairness issue.
sure,
Otherwise, it's, the Yankees against the Little Leaguers.
right.
But we're just talking about those salaries.
Is this those 5? Yeah, you leave it closed, and yeah, they should be able to afford counsel and should be able to articulate the position.
I guess what, we need to decide on something.
Yeah, you're looking back up at A, right?
Yeah, I guess what we need to decide on, C will be dependent on who we allow to look at A to come in, who we are allowed to look at or consider appeals for.
Go down 5, those 5 positions.
It would actually be 4 because the town administrator is
So we
not
would
part of
have
that.
to put a note in here that it would,
Just say salary.
by the, you know, like, because like in that first sentence, we can't, you know, right now, we're not sure if we're at the town administrator or the mayor. If, I think we just need to be prepared for language saying, if that goes to mayor, then I don't think we necessarily have a problem, but if it stays at town administrator, we need to say that we would have to indicate specifically what those 4 positions are that would appeal the process to the town administrator.
So the way, and correct me if I'm wrong, so we're talking about these salaried positions. Let's say the town administrator makes a recommendation to the mayor to terminate. And I almost feel like that's how it should be written, right? These top, and if the mayor approves termination and that terminated employee wishes an appeal, then that process would start. But it's not the town administrator firing one of those 5. It would have to be under the approval of the mayor for those 5. But then anything that trickles down under that, I feel you should have the authority as part of that day-to-day.
The checks and balances, if you get a tyrannical town administrator, you have hopefully a non-tyrannical mayor that will filter
Right.
that out. But if your case is, I don't like the sneakers they're wearing, then he should know that that's not.
Right.
You are, if you can list, well, hasn't made it to work in 6 months on time, I think any reasonable person would say,
Yes, right,
it's a reasonable cause.
right. That's kind of how I see it.
Which is the system right now. That's how it goes. If I have an issue with an employee,
Right.
I bring it to the mayor.
Right.
And that's how
But I
it goes.
think what, and I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I think what we're trying to do is sort of give the town administrator position authorities for some, those lower level type positions. The CEO of a company doesn't have to worry themselves if someone collecting refuse is let go, kind of a thing. Like, not every termination should have to go to the highest level for authority.
Yeah.
Tom?
Just a couple legal things real quick on this. First of all, in B, you use the word right to summon such witnesses, which I think the intent would be subpoena, but I'm not sure this body has the power to subpoena. So what I would say there, or recommend saying is, each party basically shall have the right to call such witnesses and produce such relevant evidence as may be desired.
So just, instead of summon, just call.
Call. Then, under D, is this just going to be by majority vote or by a supermajority vote?
Supermajority.
Yeah, I was going to lean towards that too. You beat me too. I was under the impression that it would be supermajority.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought. Then just more generically, speaking as a lawyer, okay, so what this process sets up is if an employee is terminated, appeals, you now have a proceeding where your town administrator or whomever will be on the record under oath with a record created, potentially with an employee and with an attorney, there to basically cross-examine and take essentially discovery. Understanding that whatever you do, there's going to be legal proceedings potentially afterwards. That is to say, a lawsuit. Now, I'm just going to say, there could be a lot of employment lawyers who would not love a process by which you are putting your town administrator on the record under oath with the shark of a cross-examiner. Is that a great idea from a legal perspective? It seems to me you're handing a tremendous advantage to an employee and or his or her attorney in setting up their litigation. That's not to say you can't be on the record saying why you're doing something. You have to be on the record. But, behind the scenes, let's face it, what happens is that if there's a controversial termination coming down, it's for, we all know what that might look like. Typically the town administrator, the mayor is usually involved too, with counsel, and we are documenting our files properly, making sure, and it's the files that speak to why you terminated somebody. And if there's litigation later, yes, then you go on the record, but you have a file that says exactly why you did what you did.
All right, scratch C7-6. Seriously.
I know, but they
Is it not part of the human resource process then at that point? You put someone on a PIP, you go through the process, you document it, you terminate him.
Recommendation that goes to the mayor would be a finding of fact. This happened, not subjective, objective, not conjecture facts.
Right.
You do a finding of fact, and hopefully the person making those findings of fact, the person reviewing goes, this has got all kinds of holes in it, or you put it on solid ground.
So then essentially, that process could go to court, and now we're sending Tom, you, and the mayor to
Defend your
litigation
decision.
to-
Sure, he sits for a deposition at which.
Has
is
never
correct.
happened.
I've been through it many times before.
Right, and remember too, that if you think about those reasons that might be very controversial to terminate somebody, somebody's in a protected class, somebody's going to allege discrimination or what have you. Remember, there are a host of state and federal administrative proceedings that is offered to them short of, and indeed it's a requirement before they actually get to file in court. So it's not as if they are left without administrative proceedings to protect their firing. They can seek reinstatement. It doesn't have to be this body that reviews that. So anyway, I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do, but
Tom, you could have said that 30 minutes ago.
Well, no, I know. Well, let me ask you this. So say if we strike it or do something, then we leave, I guess I want to say currently in the charter, I think there's an appeal, and Holly's got something, there's an appeal process. And I think we need to keep some form of internal appeal here. And I'm concerned that if we don't offer it, it just looks bad to the employees. The town doesn't care about it. But I think,
Go ahead, Holly.
Right.
Don't stick up your pen either.
You can maybe not do it in your charter, but do it in a human resource policy. But also,
yeah,
you could take this appeal part out, like you're saying, you're fact finding, all of your information, you've terminated somebody, we're only talking about 4 people. They could still bring that to you in closed session so that everybody's aware that it's happening, and then whatever happens down the road happens. You all are on board with the termination, you see it in that closed meeting, and there's no need for all of this. Because that's happened before.
that's something in
you know,
here.
so-
Yeah,
You've had mayors come in here and
Sure.
say, hey, you know, I'm not happy with
yeah, and I think,
blah, blah, and-
We've done that before.
yeah, and I think there's somewhere in here saying that, you know, before, no matter who decided, they needed to bring it, inform us first. So that, I believe that is in here, it might just need to be brought up,
Right, so everybody's part of the decision.
yeah.
So let me ask, this gets back to where to put generic language and where to put details. If the intent is to not lose the concept of appealing a dismissal or termination, and I don't know what's in the charter right now, but you want to keep the section and then just write a little generic paragraph here that people can appeal it, and they can either do it through a town process or their state of Maryland processes or something, and leave it at that. And then you got procedures behind the scene, or there's state procedures or whatever. If you're trying to keep this to make it visible,
Yeah.
keep it and just put 3 sentences in here that are.
I don't think A is bad in just keeping that it allows the employees the whereabouts or the knowledge of, hey, I can appeal a termination. I think maybe also adding, I don't know if we need to add up at the top, town clerk or town attorney to be also, you know, as far as the appealing process with the mayor. So just so that other people are aware that needs to be, or, you know, we could even put human resources, my goodness.
Right, and you could take the dates out. You don't need to specify within this many days and that many days, but just put the fact in here that you can do it.
Yeah,
And there's a process, and that's enough.
okay.
I get the general, but I would like some time frame, because unless we have a current policy saying X amount of days, what would stop somebody from coming in? Statute of limitations is basically the way I would look at it.
Like a year later.
A year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, and they say, no, you got a case, as Tom was saying, the employment lawyers and law firms would love that. You get an employee that's got fired 5 years ago and then come back and set us up. So there should be some time frame. Maybe they're a little bit short within 3 days, but there should be some type of statute of limitations in code
Okay,
saying that.
Well, let me ask it.
we could rewrite that paragraph.
In legalese, does "in a timely manner" mean anything?
Yeah, I
No.
probably leave it a number of days.
Yeah.
My question is,
It's a limited remedy, you know.
is this in the employee handbook? So we have an employee handbook, which I know Councilmember Demoter has seen that, and I suspect you've seen it, Council President.
Yeah.
I'm not sure everyone else has, but it's about a 25 or 30-page document, but it does talk about grievances and everything else, and every new employee gets that. So maybe you just reference the employee handbook as opposed to
Yeah.
putting a paragraph here.
I just,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, we can discuss. As I think I've told you before, Mayor, I just don't want someone to come in and rewrite it and, you know, almost on a yearly basis. There almost needs to be something that's not, I don't mind referencing the policy and procedures in it, but it needs to be there where it needs to be stay constant for the most part.
Well, I think you would then put, you have your town clerk, you have your human resources, you have your town administrator, you have your mayor that all work on the handbook.
Yeah.
If that's an annual update, so be it. If it's biannual, so be it as well. But, you know, if it says, please reference the employee handbook, I mean, we wouldn't make it that simple, but God forbid. But if it just said something like that, then we don't need to see the employee handbook every time, and you have 6, 7 people probably taking a look at the employee handbook. Go ahead, Holly.
Well, again, you're, based on your conversation throughout this, you're only talking about 4 employees. You're not talking about all 40.
Sure.
You're only talking about 4.
Yeah, good point. So as stated earlier, council, mayor, everyone watching, we're going to put this on hold. We're not going to vote on this at the next council meeting. We'll probably spend a little bit of time cleaning up the language. We'll get a clean version out so that everyone can see it and update it. Hopefully at the next council meeting, we can set new charter dates for 4 and 5, but we'll see where we go with that. And then I think we need to make a decision on 2022-2 so that the rest of this language can get taken care of and our further discussion moved on with the other charters. That is my plan, Mayor. I don't plan to bring this back until we fix everything else. I'm not trying to hide, or I want you to have your opportunity to speak on 2022-2. We've already had the workshop. So after we get done 4 and 5, which I don't think involves the position necessarily, once we finish that, we'll go back and we'll discuss about the position with the CFO, COO, whatever we're talking about.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to make sure the agenda reflects what is happening to whatever ends up.
Sure.
Being-
Now that we're, after 3 meetings, we sort of finished 3, I'll work with Holly in making sure that the language is a little bit more specific now on which charters we're working on. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you for all of your,
Can I offer a comment?
Sure.
Before you wrap up? It's informative, it's thoughtful. So it's an obvious statement, but at some point, we are going to have to decide who does the hiring and firing and at what levels. We have to do that. My second point is, I want you to think about this, okay, and put a pin in it in your head. I really believe that if you look at 2022-2, or even the previous one that's already on the books, this charter resolution deals with finance, okay? The resolution we're working on now, you look at the title, it says, for the purpose of memorializing in the charter the position of town administrator and defining his/her duties and transferring certain duties with respect to hiring and termination of town administrative offices, da-da-da-da-da. I firmly believe, if we chose to, the resolution on finances is like 2.5 pages. The resolution on hiring and firing and such, once we cut a lot of this out, which you had proposed, gets whittled down to about half of what you have. I really think, for clarity, all of this could be put in one resolution where you say, here are the duties of the mayor, the town administrator, and then the other town positions. Who does what? That way the town administrator role, all of his or her duties are all in one place. There's not part of them in a finances resolution, and there's not part of them in a hiring and firing resolution. Just want you to put that in your back of your mind. It might be more clear and effective to have it all in one clean document, because that seems to be the way other towns, it's all in one place. You don't look in 4 places to see what the administrator does. Just hold that thought. Thank you.
all right, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for your time. It's 7:55. We'll go ahead and close this charter workshop meeting, and we'll see everyone at the next town council meeting. Thank you.
Hey, John, can you let me know when we're out? Off the air, are we off the air now?